Hi guys, thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar. And the theme is social life and campus safety. My name is Loutfi Jirari. I'm the Director of International Admission. I'm joined by an awesome panel and also my colleague. I'm gonna let my colleague introduce herself first.
Hi, my name is April Johnson. I'm one of the International Admission Counselors here at DePauw. I help recruit international students and U.S. citizens living abroad.
Awesome. And our wonderful panelists. So we have two upper class students and we have a recent grad. So we'll start with our recent grad. If you could introduce yourself.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Rabia Daud. I just graduated this May, so I'm officially Corona class 2020. And I majored in economics and communication, so that was fun.
Awesome, thank you,
And I'm
Rabia.
from Pakistan.
Akane?
Hi, my name is Akane. I'm a class of 2022, so I'm a rising junior from Fukuoka, Japan. I'm majoring in chemistry and potentially minoring in French.
Awesome. Troy?
Hi everyone, my name is Choi and I come from Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City. So I intend to double major in communication and computer science. So right now I'm currently in Vietnam because of this pandemic and I hope I can get back to campus soon.
Awesome. So guys, a few things. First, we're recording this session just in case the other students cannot join us. So we have the recording and we want to share it with all the students. The second thing is my colleague April going to be monitoring our chat page. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask your questions and we're going to do our best to answer your questions. We have questions for our panelists, but of course, we're going to be waiting for your questions. And we want to share as many information as possible. First about social life, campus safety at DePauw. But of course, I know that you guys have other questions, and we will make sure to address those questions. So my first question for the panelists is, how did you overcome culture shock when you first came to the US or DePauw?
I can take that question. So when it was 4 years ago, I first came to DePauw, and for me, I really felt the language barrier here. I was, not able to understand my professors' accents, or in high school, I was very much involved in community service and doing all sorts of different things. So I really didn't get a lot of time watching sports or movies. And that was one of the reasons why I was not able to have really conversations with my classmates and kind of make that connection with them, because most of the time people would be talking about, sports and different things that are happening in America. I wasn't aware of that. And things were really hard for me my freshman semester, first semester at least. And there was a time where I thought that I don't belong here and I should maybe go back. And I was just planning on doing that the next semester. Second semester, I took an acting course. And for me, that acting course was a life-changing experience throughout my DePauw's 4 years. And the reason was because I understood how to see myself from another person's shoes. That acting course literally taught me how I could put myself in another person's perspective and see the world from their perspective. And that kind of made me more brave in terms of sharing how I'm feeling with my peers, in terms of, letting my professors know about the things that I was really worried about, and just kind of embracing who I was as a person and who I was as a student. And one thing that DePauw really values is, you just being yourself, and also encourages you to bring your whole self to the classroom or wherever you're going. So that really allowed me to empower myself, and in turn allowed me to empower other students around me as well, because at that time, by the time I was a sophomore or a junior, I'd already worked with so many students on campus and had already, made so many connections on campus that I wasn't really insecure about maybe my different accent or the way that I speak English, or, if I'm not good at something, because people valued me for who I was and what I would bring to the table. And that was something that I really appreciated about DePauw. And I think if I had not taken that acting course, by the way, if you're looking for it, it's GG Genuine. And if I had not taken that acting course, I would have probably maybe, gone back. But going back to my point, everyone who comes to DePauw from, different international countries, you kind of find your own niche and you kind of find your own ways in coping up from that cultural shock. And from some of my friends, it was, a particular club, or for some of them, it was joining a Greek life or, Greek house. So there's different ways in which you do that. But for me, it was that acting course, and I really, really appreciated that. And it just made my whole DePauw experience great for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Rabia. Who else wants to share?
I can share, my perspective. So for me, it was a little different because in high school, I lived in Morocco and I went to an American school there. So I had American friends. In terms of that part of culture, I guess I was a lot more accustomed, but it was still definitely very different to come to DePauw. It's a completely new city. I'd never been to the US before, much less Indiana. I had no idea what it was like. So personally, just like getting to know people, especially from like my first year seminar through orientation, and finding friends from different groups really helped me overcome that initial shock or the initial, I guess, discomfort of being in a completely new place. And also, I'd say not just like American culture, but I feel like DePauw culture is very particular as well. And I think it definitely took time getting used to it. We have a very large portion of campus being involved in fraternity and sorority life, which was something I'd never really heard about, or everyone being very involved in a lot of campus activities and clubs and organizations, or classes being very discussion based. And it definitely takes some time to get used to it, but I think you should definitely give yourself grace and like be patient with yourself in adjusting, and don't beat yourself up for feeling a little uncomfortable at first, because honestly, everyone, even the domestic students, are definitely feeling a little bit of anxiousness at first being in college for the first time. So just understanding that you're not the only one going through it, and getting to know people and understanding that there's always upperclassmen who you can turn to who are so willing to help, like your ambassadors or your mentors.
Thank you, Akane.
I can go next and share my experience. So for me, to be honest, I do not have any culture shock at all, because but the one that shocked me the most is the friendliness and the support system here. When I first got into the dorm, I met one of my best friend who is now my brother in my fraternity. So he just like came by me and introduced himself, and then we talked the whole night. He said that his best friend was in high school was Vietnamese, so he really interested to know more about me and to like talk more about his culture and then my culture. So like the people here are very friendly, so you definitely need to make friends here and reach out whenever you need help. And in terms of classes here, it's very like discussion based, like Akane has said. So you have to prepare for it. So this summer, so we prepared to practice English more and be comfortable in using English communication skills. I took acting class too, so like Rabia took. So I took acting class too, and it's awesome. You definitely should join it. So one piece of advice that I would like to share is to be you, because people would appreciate who you are, not like who you fake or something. So just be you, and people will love that personality, love that characteristic. So be open, be you.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. The next question, if you could please talk about the support provided to international students regarding safety.
Okay, I'll take that again. When I first came to DePauw, I honestly really felt like I was pampered a lot. And, I had an international student ambassador, I had a mentor, I had a whole mentor group where I had different friends that I could go to. I had an advisor as a professor. Then we had 2 different RAs, resident assistants on our floor. And then we had a senior resident assistant. So there were so many people to whom I could go to if I needed some help, or I could, reach out to them and be like, hey, there's something that's, not going well for me. And I could just, always reach out to them. And they were always there for me. So I think in terms of that, if we talk about the support, we have a lot of people who are looking out for international students, especially during their first year, because that's the hardest one for international students. Also their best year on campus as well, because you're freshmen and you make all those memories. But you get a lot of support from professors and mentors who are there to help you. And we have centers like, if you're looking for career exploration, we have a center, Hubbard Center, and they always make sure that they're reaching out to international students specifically, and that they're working with international students to get their resumes, revamped, to get their LinkedIn profiles running. And I worked at Hubbard Center for 2 years, and I always made sure that, even if international students can't come to the center, we will go to their dorms and we will work with them instead of them having to come to us if they, can't make it to the center for some reasons. So there's a lot of programming that's done by Hubbard Center. Then there's a lot of other centers on campus as well. We're always working to make sure that they have a good community of international students who are involved in it. And I believe that, with the increasing population of international students on campus, they're contributing in a large scale to our campus environment and different things that we contribute to the campus. So I think that's there. And in terms of safety as well, honestly, I have never felt, if it was 3 a.m. in the morning, I would be walking alone on DePauw's campus, and I wouldn't feel any sort of worry, because I know that public safety will be there rounding after every 5 minutes. So if I'm walking during the night, public safety is always there and they're taking rounds. So that's one of the great things about DePauw is that, if I was just at another campus and I didn't get to see their public safety a lot, but ours is always there. So you get to see them roaming. And then we also have our Center for Diversity and Inclusion, which is called CDI, where, international students can go cook food with their friends. There's support from your international staff members. And, you can just go and tell them any issue that you're having. Really, DePauw is a sort of a community where you can just go and talk to a random professor that you've never met before, tell them your issue, and they'll help you. And that's what's been happening with me. I've had conversations with professors that I've never taken any class with, and I just know them because I just went to them and I said, hey, I like the research that you did, and I just really want to talk to you about it because I'm interested in it. And after that, we became really good friends. So DePauw is that sort of a place where you can just kind of go and speak with anyone. And once you get to know them personally, you really build that relationship and you really value that relationship throughout your 4 years. And that's one of the great things that DePauw teaches you as well. So once you have that community, with you, I think you will feel much more safer and much more comfortable. Just like myself, how I did after my first semester freshman year. I wouldn't have been so comfortable on this campus if it wasn't for the people who work here and the students who go here and the classes and the environment. So I really do think that it was a great culture.
Thank you, Rabia.
Yeah, to add on to what Rabia said, so in the CDI, there's the International Student Services Office, and honestly, they're the ones who know best about all sorts of things relating to international students that might not be necessarily covered by other parts of or other organizations on campus. So it's always a really good bet if you have any issues to go to them because they know best and they're literally there for you for international students. And also, if there's anything relatively urgent, but you might not feel comfortable though going to the office directly or it's off hours, the ambassadors and mentors are like trained to help you. Like they're there so that a lot of them will give you their numbers so that if anything were to happen, say in the evening where it's not as easy to reach someone and it's not super, like it's not an emergency situation, but you still want to reach out to someone for whatever reason, they're there to help you. So please talk to your ambassadors and mentors because they're like a good in-between between maybe talking to someone who's like in a official role as a job compared to, and like a student like you.
Thank you, Akane.
So Ravia and Akane has mentioned all those supportive officers that you can't come by. But so I just want to mention that all people here are supportive. You do not have to come to like offices. You do not have to come to the ISS, like International Student Service. You can talk with your friends, your professors. They are all willing to help you, and they are willing to help you there and figure out the issues that you have. So do not shy or do not hesitate to reach out for help because they are here for you.
Thank you, Troy. So next questions that we have for you guys is if you could please talk about your involvement on campus. And maybe we start with Akane this time.
Yeah, I can start. So on campus, in terms of academics, I'm a science research fellow. I was an honor scholar, but I decided I wanted to study abroad more than I wanted to complete the program just because I figured out what I wanted to do. But I do have experience in the honor scholar program. And then I was an international student ambassador last year. I will be a lead international student ambassador this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm also the current president of the Alpha chapter of Alpha Chi Omega, which is my sorority. So I'm in fraternity and sorority life. I'm also a part of iFood, the Sustainability Leadership Program, and I was also in Society of Physics Students. So those three are clubs and organizations on campus that are student-led that I personally found interesting that I'm involved in.
Awesome.
So for me, currently,
Go ahead.
thank you. So for me, currently, I'm working with Mr. Loutfi and Miss April, which is like international liaison to help you all with your admission office. So I work the most with the Vietnamese students. And moreover, I'm a proud member of the Delta Upsilon fraternity. I was in ITAB and I will continue to do so in the next 3 years. I am the YouTube director at D3 TV, which is the largest media club at DePauw. I was a first year senator at DePauw student government. And next year I will serve as a mentor. And I do not know which class I will serve. So I hope that one of you would be one of my mentees.
Great. It's a long list. I'll try to make it short. But I started, when I first came in, I was in Information Technology Associate Programs. It's a technical program, like Troy mentioned, where you do different rotations. And if you guys haven't applied for it, I would definitely recommend you to apply for that program. It's a great learning opportunity, and they take a lot of international students too. And then I also worked as the president for Muslim Student Association. I founded the Entrepreneurship Club on campus and served as the president for the club for a year. I worked with the Compton Center for Peace and Justice, and we organized Peace Camp on campus. I've been an international student ambassador during my sophomore year and actually my junior year. So I've been an international student ambassador. I worked as an admissions ambassador. I've actually given more than 150 tours in the last 1.75 years, and was so shocked when the school, closed that I was not able to give my last tour, thinking of it as my last tour. But I love giving tours. So if you're someone who loves talking to people, that would be something really nice to do. I worked as a cochlear peer consultant at the Hubbard Center. So they are basically your peer mentors who are helping you with your professional resume profile, your LinkedIn profiles, your interviews, if you're going for study abroad, they help you with those applications, and they sit at the Hubbard Center. So I did that. I became presidential ambassador my senior year and, served and worked there. And then currently, I am a member of the board of trustees, so I'll be serving on that board for 3 years. There you go. I think that's it. I might be missing something, but yeah, that's the short of it.
Very impressive, guys. All of you are really doing amazing things, and we are so, so proud of you. The next question is, so from your point of view, do you think it would be helpful to students to join campus activities, to be involved in organizations? And also if you could share your opinion about Greek life, is that something that you encourage students to explore?
I can start for this one, Yen. So clubs and organizations, yes, definitely. It's such a great way to get to know people outside of your group, people outside of your circle of friends, or people outside of like the international community. I found some of my good friends by joining clubs and organizations, and it's really easy to connect with people because you already have that shared interest in the club or organization. Also, it's an amazing way to get leadership experience because DePauw has so many clubs and organizations. It's super easy to get really involved and have positions of leadership that are really good for your resume, but also for experience. So I would definitely suggest joining a club organization. Some people join a lot to have a bunch of different experiences. Other people focus on one and decide to get really involved in that one. So how you get involved is really up to you, but definitely I would suggest trying at least one out because it really does help you connect with so many different people, especially upperclassmen who you might not necessarily have the same classes with. And then fraternity and sorority life, or Greek life, we're supposed to call it fraternity and sorority life, but it really depends, I guess, on what you want and what you want out of your DePauw experience and like how you, I guess, feel about it. It's so different than I think what anyone has experienced so far. So I would suggest once you're on campus trying to see. Personally, I really enjoy it because it really helped me in terms of like my social life. I've met so many people I wouldn't have met if I hadn't joined, who are now some of like my closest friends, and I get to live with them. It's also a long-lasting thing, so it doesn't just stop at the 4 years at DePauw. Like I know I'm going to be talking to people for a lot longer even after I graduate, or there are people who, some of my sisters who just graduated, who I can go to advice for like job related things, or just in general how to navigate certain like DePauw things, like declaring a major, or like trying to get research or an internship and that sort of stuff. Also, it's really cool when, so I just said I'm the president for my sorority right now, but I got to go to this leadership academy where I got to meet people from my sorority from all over the US, which I thought was a very cool opportunity. Because so it really helps you also expand, not from DePauw and like to organizations that are like all over the US, which I thought was really cool. But at the end of the day, it's not for everyone, even though such a big part of campus is involved. So I'd say don't feel pressured, but also don't feel afraid to try it out because it is a new experience that you probably will only be able to do in the US.
Thank you.
My advice is definitely to join at least one organization on campus. You can join the student media organizations like I did, D2TV, or you can join the radio station, which is WGRE, also DePauw, one of the oldest newspaper all over the US. That is only for DePauw. And you can join the honor scholars or the media or management fellows. They are super awesome. If you haven't applied for it, do not worry because you have one chance for letter entry when you enter the school next year. So Greek life, I can say that yes and no. Currently, I in Delta Upsilon fraternity, and I absolutely love it. I make a lot of friends here. They are super supportive, and I get a lot out of it. So for no, even though it's good for me, I do not know if it's good for you or not. So like Akane has said, you have to um, do more research about it and try it on your own. So it depends on your preference and your characteristics. So for me, I definitely recommend that you should join, but there's no pressure or there's no urge that you must join it. It depends on your choice.
Thank you.
Awesome. Loutfi, do you want to move on to the next question?
No, we need your response, Rabia.
Okay.
We want to hear what you have to say.
Just want to make sure. All right. So like Akane and Troy said, you know, I started and I joined a lot of different organizations my first semester, and I kind of was not focused on just one place. But within my second semester and my third semester, I realized what were the things that I wanted to do on campus. And there was a time where I was like, okay, I'm so much into entrepreneurship and I want to, you know, promote that, and I want more students to be involved in it. But we didn't have an entrepreneurship club on campus. So I decided to speak with the president. I decided to speak with different people who I thought might be able to help me with creating that club, or, you know, provide me with funding. And fortunately, I was able to get that club started and running in 2 months from the day when I had that idea. So the point is that, you know, if you are really passionate about something and you don't find that on DePauw's campus, you can always create that opportunity for yourself. So there's no limit to what you can learn or what experience you can get on DePauw's campus as compared to, you know, you saying, okay, that we don't have it, so we can't do it. That's a great thing about DePauw, that you will always find those resources that will help you, you know, advance those things that you want to actually achieve in your career. And that entrepreneurship club today is doing great after 2.5 years, I guess. They've started, we found a new director. I actually sat on the McDermott Center Search Director Committee as well. And, you know, we found the director, and now we have an incubator in Indianapolis as well. So students can kind of go there and learn from tech startup companies in Indianapolis, and, you know, connect with alumni who are in Indianapolis. So in terms of, you know, activities and clubs, I would just say, try it out, find what you're passionate about or what you enjoy the most, and then give it as much as you can, and try to make it a good experience, learn from it, make mistakes, and just have a wholesome experience, you know, because the DePauw and faculty and staff are always going to be there for you. In terms of Greek life, I rushed, and, you know, I have 3 sisters back home, and 3 extended sisters as well. So I love all of them, but they used to annoy me a lot as well. So when I was coming to US, I was finally happy that I won't have to, you know, snatch TV's remote from them or do all those creepy things that we used to do together. So when I found out that I would rush and would join a sorority where I would have to live with 60 sisters, that idea didn't sit really well with me. Because I had just left, you know, 3 sisters back home. But then I was also really fond of cooking Pakistani food, and I realized that, you know, if I join a house, I won't be able to cook that in a house. And those were the 2 things that I was not ready to give up, my personal space and Pakistani food. So I decided not to join a house, but whether or not you join a house or not does not really define your experience on campus. You know, I am not a part of a Greek organization, but I have a lot of friends who are a part of Greek organization. And there's opportunities for both Greek students and independent students to grow on campus. So, you know, just be open, go with an open mindset, and don't come under pressure. Like Akane said, if you think that this is the right choice for you, go for it. But if you think that, you know, you might not like it and you want to give it a try, go ahead, give it a try. But if you don't like it, just drop it. You know, there is no harm in doing that. You always want to make sure that you put your mental health first, because if you're not doing that, then you can't take care of your friends and those around you as well. So definitely see if Greek life is for you. I have friends who are a part of Greek life and they love it. And I have friends who are not a part of Greek life and they still love it. So being a Greek member or not does not define your experience, and it should just be your choice if you want to do it or not.
Thank you guys so much. Next question is about inclusivity. Are there activities at DePauw that promotes inclusivity?
So I can start. So definitely the classes here are super inclusive. The professors always cherish your voice. So be brave, take the courage to raise your hands and speak up your voice, because your voice matters here. And more also, like we said about Greek life, like for example, from experience as an Asian and international student, I do not feel left out in a house where mostly are American students. I always feel inclusive and surrounded. So they are super supportive for me. And also the clubs and organizations on campus that you can join, they promote inclusivity. And even though that you're from a minority, you always feel welcomed here. So do not afraid to speak up your voice, because once again, your voice matters.
Thank you, Troy.
Yeah, I would also say, just going on what Troy just said, that do not be afraid. The first mistake that I made when I got on campus was that I was afraid of, what people would think of me. And that would be one advice. If you could get one advice from me, it would be, do not be afraid. Show yourself to people, show who you really are. Just be proud of that, because you're different and you're meant to be that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. My first year seminar professor, you will all get first year seminar advisor, who will you'll get assigned to that advisor, and I think he was very inclusive in terms of the way he conducted classes and everything, but I was just not able to make that sort of an effort and be that involved in the classes as I was in my second semester or in my semesters after that. And the reason was because I was afraid of people judging me, and I was afraid that someone will think this about me or this about me. And I think that was just my internal fear that I had at that time, and acting helped me overcome that fear, but also my interactions with other people and just kind of being vulnerable and letting people know that, okay, I might stand on the stage and I might stutter because I'm afraid. Maybe I've never done this before. Just letting people know that I once made a mistake, and people tell me I speak really fast. So every time I give a presentation, I stand before the whole classroom and I tell them that, I might speed talk. So if you guys hear me do that, just say hello to me, and I would stop doing that. So people just kind of laugh it off, and it just makes it a good experience. So I would say that make sure that you're not afraid of who you are, and just kind of show yourself to the world and speak up, because you are enough. For whatever you need to do on this campus, you can absolutely accomplish this. And these fears will just, go by really fast if you have that sort of a mindset where you just want to learn and just be kind and empathetic and compassionate to others around you.
Thank you.
To add on to what Troy and Rabia said, I think they did a really good job of covering most of like the informal things, but in terms of like specific events and stuff, the CDI, so the Center of Diversity and Inclusion, has events geared towards specific groups, or just events in general that bring together people from a variety of communities and from different groups. So that definitely helps in terms of promoting inclusivity. Also, there are a lot of clubs and organizations who host events. For example, the International Student Association hosts International Bazaar, where it's a place for us international students who like share part of our culture with the rest of campus. So they are events like that done by different organizations on campus, which welcomes people from different backgrounds, but that's also like shares part of people's different cultures, which I think is really cool. And we also have one day called DePauw Dialogue, where we have a day where no classes happen, which encourages dialogue to talk a lot more about like racism or like the inequalities that exist within our society. So there is a day for that is planned by the university, which definitely helps in terms of getting to know different perspectives and like be more in touch, I guess, with all the different like issues going on.
Thank you, guys. Any final thoughts, advice to our incoming first-year international students?
I have 3 advices for you all. So the first advice is to be you, because like you're different and be proud of that. If you come from Japan, be proud that you're a Japanese. If you come from Vietnam, be proud that you're a Vietnamese, because people here love it. People here, like, they have a lot of support system, and the inclusive environment here are super supportive. So take the courage to be you and speak up your voice. The second advice is to reach out to anyone if you need help. There are a lot of people around on campus that you can reach out whenever you want, your friends, your professors, your mentors, your resident assistants, and a lot of people. So do not be afraid. The third and the last but not least, is to be open, because DePauw is such a very innovative school, which is a liberal arts university. So be open, experience classes that are outside of your major, like take acting classes, take religion classes, take I don't know, physics classes or so on, because you may love it and you may not. Who knows, right? So take classes to broaden your horizons and just enjoy your life here at DePauw.
Thank you.
I would say I would give 3 pieces of advices too. The first one is going to be take risks. Do that thing that you think you can't do. Try to do it and see if you can do it, because in a liberal arts setting, there's nothing that's impossible. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. So just take that first step and make it happen. And one secret I'll tell you guys, I had never actually registered for classes using the DePauw system, because I would always have, some issues with my tuition and stuff. So every time I wanted to get into the classes that I wanted to take for that particular semester, I would reach out to professors personally, tell them my situation, and I would get a special permission access code. And I've done that for all 8 semesters of my DePauw experience. So I never had to worry about, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to get that class or not, even though, students don't normally have that issue, but I just found it very easy. And one advice that I got from my first year advisor was that, just go and speak to them in person, just go and email them, and you will see that things will start happening for you. And that really, turned out to be true for me. Second advice that I will give you guys is to be empathetic and to be compassionate. When you come to college, understand that you are going to have struggles, but there are also going to be students who have their own struggles. So while you were sharing your struggles, or maybe you were, having a hard day, maybe just thinking about other people will help you cope up with that better. And for me, it was always like, how can I help others to help me get through that as well? So always try to find ways in which you can reach out to your friends and support them, and let them know that you're there for them, and just be there for them, and be kind to yourself and to those around you, whether it's your supervisor, your professor, your classmates, whoever it is that you meet. And the third advice, I really forgot. Yes, food. So food is, the passage to everyone's heart. And that's one way how I made friends my freshman year. I loved cooking Pakistani food, and I would cook a lot of biryani in my dorm. It's a traditional Pakistani dish. And I would invite everyone from my floor to come and try it out. And a lot of them would be domestic students, so it would be a little spicy for them. So they would come and have like maybe 1 or 2 bites. So the whole floor would be able to like taste what I cooked, and we would have conversations. And like Troy said, be proud of where you come from. So I loved sharing my culture. I loved sharing, how things in Pakistan worked. And I think that's a great way to make friends, because domestic students and professors, they really want to know about your experiences, and they really want to learn, your backgrounds and everything. So that's one great way to make friends. Always remember that and use it to your advantage.
Thank you.
To echo what's been said, so my pieces of advice are definitely don't be afraid to ask for help. So many people are either so super willing to help if you ask. So really, whether it's an email to a professor or you just reaching out to an upperclassman, so many people are there to help you. So definitely don't be afraid to ask and to reach out to people. And also challenge yourself to try new things or things you can only do at DePauw, whether it's taking a different class that you might never have considered, or to make that club you wanted to make, or just, it's college, and especially at DePauw, since it's such a small and supportive campus, it's such a great opportunity to do those things. And maybe you might make mistakes, but it's a place where you're allowed to make those mistakes. So definitely challenge yourself.
Thank you. So I wanna share that we are now open for any questions that students might have. Please feel free to write your question in the chat, and my colleague April will read the question, and the panelists and myself will be hopefully able to answer your question. But I also want to acknowledge that we live in uncertain times right now with COVID, with everything that is going on. I want to reassure students, if you're feeling stressed about visas or travel, things like that, know that we definitely going to be working with you. I think that students received an email recently about the courses that are going to be available online. So we're going to have about 1/3 of the courses that will be provided online only, 1/3 that will be in person, and 1/3 that will be hybrid. So a combination of in person and plus virtual. So the goal is really to help all the students to make sure that you start your semester, that you don't really have to defer if you want to begin your campus experience. It seems that for now, enrolling in online courses might be the safest thing to do, but you still have time. Decisions will be made by mid-July. You receive the link to put in your preferences, so please do that. And know that DePauw will take your suggestion very seriously, and we will make sure to provide you with the courses that you're requesting, and then the mode of education that you're requesting. But just looking at everything that is going on right now, it seems that enrolling in virtual classes will be the safest thing to do, so you're not stressed. We're also going to be flexible with the dates for students to move to campus. I think the email mentioned that August 15 will be the dates that we expect students to move in, but we do have different dates for international students. We understand the difficulties with travels and everything else, and like I said, we're going to work with you. So for now, if you're not able to apply for an emergency visa, just apply for the earliest visa appointment that you're finding. And like I said, we will work with you. We will help you with transportation to campus and things like that. But please don't stress. We know that for now, visa appointments are really not available. And we're monitoring the situation. And as soon as we know what's going on, we will let you know. Every country is very different. We're hearing that for Japan, students can apply 30 days before the start of their program. We know that visa appointments are a little bit difficult right now in Pakistan. We're monitoring, and we will make sure to communicate with our Pakistani students. Similarly, challenges in Vietnam, challenges in China. So please don't stress, and know that we will support you. That is really the main advice that we want to share with you for now. And we hope that things will get better, and as things change, we will address those changes.
So it looks like we have one question. They're asking if they're able to get their visas and fly to the US by the start of the program date, do they need to be in quarantine for 14 days?
Very good question. So we're very thankful that DePauw gonna provide students the opportunity to be quarantined on campus. We're doing this for anybody who travel internationally. So it could be international students, it could be domestic students, it could be a professor, it could be a staff, because we have professors who are from all over the world. We have staff who are international as well. So the policy is that anybody coming to DePauw from an international destination would be quarantined. Being quarantined does not mean that they cannot move at all from their room. They just have to practice social distancing and be mindful. Everybody going to be tested when they come to DePauw, because we care very much about everybody's safety. And so that is the decision, that everybody would be tested, everybody would be monitored. But students, yes, will be quarantined. They can stay in their dorm room. They can, of course, still move. They're not going to be prisoners in their room. It just, to be mindful and practice, all the health suggestions that the CDC and the DePauw Wellness Center has for students. And that is the reason really why I previously said that taking online courses would be the least stressful, because regardless of quarantine or regardless of what we're going to do, it would be easier on you, to do a virtual course. I think another thing that I want to share is we're following the CDC rules, Center for Disease Control. So whatever guidelines that they have, that's what we're going to follow. So for now, they are advising the 14 days quarantine, and that's what we're going to do as of now. But if things change, you know, as we get to August, then we will follow whatever latest guidelines that we have. We're very thankful that, you know, we haven't had any COVID-19 infection in our campus, and we plan to, you know, to be as mindful as, care for the health of everybody. That would be the goal for us in the fall. We want everybody to be safe and to be healthy. And, you know, our wellness center is doing a really, really good job, you know, monitoring everything that is going on in the country and in the world.
So it looks like we have 2 more questions. One of them is, if you plan to stay in your home country, sorry, where to go? Oh, should you renew your visa now or wait until the end of the semester to do so?
Could you please repeat the question, April?
Yes, if you plan to stay in your home country and study online for a semester, should you renew your visa now or should you wait until the end of the semester to do so?
Good questions. So there are two things that determine your status in the US. So there is the I-20 and then there is the visa. Your visa will be, like when you apply and get your visa, it will be valid for all the duration that you have in the visa. Countries are different. I know that for, you know, Japan, you know, they give them 4-year visas. So if a Japanese student apply for a visa and receives a visa, let's say in August, regardless of whether the students move to DePauw in August or uses that visa, you know, in January, the visa is fine. It's valid. What will need to be updated is the I-20. So if the students received an I-20 from us and it said that the program start date was August, but then the students decided to stay, you know, in their home country for the fall, and the student is planning to move to campus in the spring, then yes, we will need to send the students a new I-20. So there is a difference between the I-20 and the visa. If you apply for the visa, you're fine. You can use that visa whether you travel in August or whether you travel, you know, in January. The I-20 need to be the most updated. If you're not coming in the fall, then definitely you need another I-20 from our office, and we would be very happy to provide that I-20. So as we know, as we have everything clear and we know who's coming in the fall and who's not coming, we'll be able to address every single student situation. And, you know, if the student need an I-20, we would be sure to send the I-20.
Great. We have another question. If a student plans to defer for a semester, how do they go about paying for the deferred enrollment fee, and can they have a new I-20 for the spring semester?
Yes. So any students who wants to defer, if you could please send us an email. The best email that we use is intladmission@depauw.edu. That will be the best email for us. So of course, you can either send an email to myself or my colleague April, and we will send you the link to pay the deferral fee of $1,500. And yes, if the student is planning to defer for the spring, definitely we need to send you a new I-20. If the student is planning to, you know, join DePauw in the spring, the start of the semester is usually the end of January. It means that we will send you the I-20, you know, no later than December, so that you can apply for the visa and everything else.
Okay, 2 more questions. So if a student chooses to start taking classes online for the fall semester, but then they manage to get their visa during the middle of the semester, will they have the option to arrive on campus, or do they have to continue with taking classes online?
Very, very good question. So I mentioned previously that we have 1/3 of the courses that will be hybrid, meaning that they're providing the option to take the course online or take the course in person. So if a student starts online, as long as they're selecting that course that provide both option, if you start, let's say, from Vietnam, and then you're getting your visa and you're able to travel by mid-September, then yes, you can come to the university. If the quarantine guidelines are still in place, then you will have to be quarantined for 14 days. And then once you're done with the quarantine, if you prefer to do in person instead of virtual, then you will have that option.
So any other last questions? I'll give a minute to see. Okay. Do we know if there are any limitations to the number of parents that will be able to join their students for move-in day?
Yeah. So yes, I saw that. I saw the email that was sent to students about limiting how many people would be able to, travel with the students. We don't really have any, specific guidelines as of now. I think the goal is really to limit how many people, how many visitors we have. This is all due to COVID-19. We, of course, are very, very welcoming to students and parents and families. I don't know what's the limit going to be, but we will make sure to share any information we have, Hayato. So we still have a little bit of time, and we will make sure to share that information. I don't want to make any guesses, so I don't know the number that DePauw is looking for, but we will make sure to share when we have it. And I think really the main advice that I want to share with incoming first-year students, with all the uncertainties that is going on, please, do the best that you can to stay calm. Know that there are many people in your shoes, many international students all over the world who are traveling to the US who are feeling the same anxiety. But please know that the difference is that because we're such a tight-knit, small community, that we truly care about every single students that we have. And as I mentioned, we're gonna make sure to help you. We're gonna make sure to provide you with the most updated information, whether that's visas, anything immigration, we will make sure to share that with you. Akane shared before that we have a good Office of International Student Services. So we will make sure to give you the best advice for you to plan and have a clear plan of what you're going to do in the fall. And similarly, we'll share any information that we have about any new moving dates, because like I said, we're going to be more flexible with international students. August 15 dates is not a cutoff date for international students. We're going to have other dates where we will provide transportation. So please, practice. I liked when Rabia said, care about yourself, be kind to yourself, and know that there is a good DePauw community that's going to be there for you as you're finalizing your plans for the fall.
So it looks like we have one more question. They're asking if they have already paid their CVIS fee, but they plan to start the fall semester online, do they need to have a new I-20 issued?
So the students pay the CVIS fee, they have the I-20, they're planning to start in the fall, right?
They plan to start the fall semester online.
Online, yeah. So students who are going to start classes online, as of now, the guidelines that we have is that even though the student's going to start the fall semester, but because they're going to be online, they will need an updated I-20 when they travel to the US. So if the students, decides to move to campus in January, then we will need to send the students an updated I-20 with new dates. The CVIS fee that the students paid will still be valid because the students will have the same CVIS ID. What we will change is the dates of the program. So I mentioned I-20 will need to be changed, whether the student starts in the fall or deferred. it will also need to be changed whether the students travels to the US or stays, back home. What lasts is the visa. If the students apply for a visa now and hopefully they get their visa, whether they fly to the US in August or whether they fly in the US in January, that visa will still be valid. But I-20 must have the accurate program start dates.
So unless anyone has any last minute questions for our student panelists, okay. So a student is asking about the $1,500 deferment fee. Does that go towards your tuition?
Absolutely. The $1,500 will go toward tuition. That's not an additional cost. Cool.
So it looks like that was hopefully our last question. If you do have any other questions that you think of later or we do not get to, you're always welcome to email us. You can email either Loutfi or I's personal email, or you can always share it to our international admission email account. I'll put the email address in the chat for everyone to save.
Thank you.
Please, again, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions at all.
Cool. I want to take this opportunity to thank our panelists for the awesome job that they did and all the valuable advice that they provided the students. We truly, truly appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you so much. And to all our incoming students, thank you for joining us. As we mentioned, we're recording this session to share with everybody so everybody can have the most updated information. Please reach out to us. Know that we are always here for you, and we're gonna make sure to help you, to the best of our abilities. And thank you guys so much.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.